go over a few of these. The big idea, of course, is that you're solving the same problem 3 ways. So we should have the same answer 3 different ways. 2 people have questions on 4, so let's start there. First step of factoring, and we're going to do factoring, complete the square. Factoring, completing the square, and then quadratic formula. So let's factor first. The first step of factoring is the what? GCF. So what is the GCF here? 7x. So yeah, it's very easy to, with the problem, the 3 problems before this, to think, okay, I just do the same thing every single problem. Don't have to think about it. But remember, the first 3 problems you should have been looking for GCF first also. Because you didn't do it, it doesn't matter. So make sure you always look for GCF. Never know where it's going to show up. And really, it's just recognizing multiples of the same number. When you see a 7 and 14 together, it's stopping and saying, what does that mean? And not just, oh, it's a coincidence. You know, so the same number goes into everything, but stop and think about what that means. So we'll have, and then of course there's an x in both of them, take that out. 2 equals 0. And what does that mean? That means 7 times x is in there. 7 times what equals 0? And then what minus 2 also equals 0. Here, of course, 7 times 0 is 0. X equals 0. And x equals 2 minus 2. So our 2 roots are 2 and 0. So I had to graph this. I know it's opening upwards because this is positive. So I have 0 and I have 2. I know that my axis of symmetry is going to be in the exact middle of 0 and 2, which is 1. I don't know where though. That's the downside of factoring and quadratic formula, is that it doesn't tell us exactly how low or how high the vertex is. It's down here somewhere though, for sure. It has to be less than 0. Alright, what about complete the square? Same idea. This time we just take out the 7, leave the x alone. We need the x squared, otherwise we can't complete the square. 2x. So negative 2 divided by 2 is 1. Negative 1 squared is positive 1. Now the number up here, since there is no number, is 0. And so on, put a minus 1. So that these are always equal. Factor the first 3 terms. Bring down that minus 1. All still in parentheses, 7 in front. So distribute that 7. So from here, now, what is the vertex?
Oh yeah,
1 and
negative 7.
negative 7. So we already knew the 1 part over here, which was in the middle of 0 and 2. But I didn't know that it was negative 7. So that's the benefit of completing the square. And remember, this is called vertex form. That means the vertex is here. The first part of complete the square is just completing the vertex form. And then let's solve it. We should get the same 2 answers around here, 0 and 2. set it equal to 0. Add that 7 to both sides. And then divide by 7, good. And then now x minus 1 squared equals 1. 7 divided by 7. And find a square root. So now x minus 1 equals 1. And also x minus 1 equals build in, what is it equal? So what's the 2? Add 1 to both sides and we get 2. And here we get 0. 2 comma 0 as predicted. Right? Any question? Square root of 1 is this one?
Yeah.
How did I get that? I
Yeah.
divided both sides by 7.
Oh, okay.
7 divided by 7.
Okay.
And then lastly, what is A? Okay. What is B?
14, negative 14.
Negative 14. And then, of course, C is
0.
0. So just like the ones we've been doing for about 2 weeks now. If we don't know this, we can't do the quadratic formula correctly at all. So we're looking at, well, if there's an x there, we know that that's going to be b. Number by itself, we know it's going to be c. Now going by what order it seems to go. First, second, third. All right. Let's write down the formula. I always recommend doing this, writing it out with the parentheses. If you get past A, B, and C, getting those correct, the next thing to go wrong would be negatives. So if you write out these parentheses, it really prevents a lot of problems with negatives. So B is negative 14. A is 7. Up here, 7 down here. And C is 0. What do we got? We got double negative, like I said. Very easy to miss if you're doing it really fast. So now we have 14 plus or minus square root what is this part inside the square root what's called the discriminant? What is that discriminant? Let's see. What is this part again here? 0. 4 times 7 times 0 is 0. So I really just want to know what's negative 14 squared.
196.
Minus 0, which is just 196. And then, of course, the square root of 196 is 14. Yeah, we just squared 14. So we get 14 plus 14 over 14. And we get 14 minus 14 over 14. So that's 28 over 14. Equals 2. And that's 0 over 14, which equals 0. And as predicted.
So the last class, will they be checking it?
No. Just as legit as the first one. Now, of course, in general, you won't be asked to solve the same problem 3 times, right? I mean, that's not very typical, right? When you get a test, do you get the same question on 3 different problems? No. This is just proving a point that that's what you're doing now. You're solving one problem, and we have 3 methods, which is not typical in math. Usually, this problem you solve this way, the next problem you have a different way, and the third problem you solve, and they're all different types of problems. Here, we're just really learning to solve and graph one problem. That's what we've done this whole chapter. We've done one problem. But we've learned how to do one problem, three different ways solving, plus graphing. So really 4 methods. We've learned how to solve one problem 4 different ways. We think of these 3 plus graphing. And, as mentioned, if you were told, like on the test, they'll say use the quadratic formula, use completeness square, solve by factoring, and you'll use the proper one. But if it just says solve, that's where you come in and you have to make a decision on which method is probably the easiest. So a lot of you will probably look at this quadratic formula and say, well, I like that. But you can see how much work this is. And look how fast the factoring goes. So you want to be smart, not just say I like, but make a decision on which one is going to be faster for this particular problem. If you try to factor it and it's prime, it doesn't factor, then you'll have to move on to another method. Sometimes you won't be able to use every single method, and you'll see that today. Right. Are there any others we need to get started on this? Just help get started. 5C. Yeah. A is equal to 1. B is equal to -6, and C is equal to 1. Definitely use 1 for A though. Opposite of -6 plus or minus -6 squared minus 4 times 4 times all over 2 times 4. So again, that double negative, +6 plus or minus 36 minus 36. 2. So the discriminant here equals 0. Yeah. The square root of 0 is 0. So our answer is just 6 over 2, which equals
Only one answer?
only one answer. And recall, when the discriminant equals 0, there should be only one answer, because we can't kind of put an X through it, but if we actually did the work here, what's 6 plus 0 divided by 2? And what's 6 minus 0 divided by 2? Yeah, they're both 3. So whenever you have plus or minus 0, you get the same answer, because plus 0 and minus 0 is the same thing, so that's why we get one answer. So we had this thing called the discriminant back on a couple homeworks ago that we knew just by knowing that this was equal to 0 that there'd be only one answer.
Can you use 5B, please?
5B? Yes. Okay, 5B, let's see, half of -6 is -3, and -3 squared is 9. So this is already a perfect square. We don't need to complete it, it's already completed. It's x plus x minus 3 times x minus 3. Right? So when we square root both sides, you get the same thing. And over here, what 2 numbers multiply to +9, add to -6? Yeah, x minus 3 and x minus 3, right? So once again, it's the same number, right? We get x equals 3 for all of these. And graphically, what does this look like when you only have one answer?
Oh,
That was when the x-intercept was also the vertex. So you can see the answer is 3, but the vertex up here is also 3 comma 0. So the vertex and the x-intercept are one and the same. Vertex and x-intercept. It's the same thing. Whenever you have one solution, the same thing always happens. Alright. So make sure, again, all the way across that you have the same answer for each one, and you have all the work to support that. So if I get when I see your papers, if I see like a little thing scribbled right here, like 2 steps, and all of a sudden the right answer appears, that's no good. Show your work, show all the work, show the 2, how to get the 2 answers and all that good stuff.